Hello again, Art Snackers. Welcome back to Hot in the Shop. This is a series in which we feature some outstanding art supplies available in the ArtSnacks shop. In the last video, I showed you 7 fine liner techniques that you should know. In this video, we're going to build on those skills to make colorful artwork with the Stabilo .88 fine liners. But first, if we haven't met yet, my name is Jenny and I'm a mixed media artist. When I'm not showing you great art supplies on the ArtSnacks channel, you can find me at artfullylivedlife.com. The colors I'm using for the drawing in this video are from these 2 sets of Stabilo .88 pens, the pastel set and the muted color set. Between these 2 packs, you get 16 beautiful colors of water-based ink delivered in a 0.4mm line width, so they are great for precision work. Stick around to the end of this video and I'll tell you how you can get all of the supplies I'm using today at 15% off. To start this project, I sketched out this decorative cat drawing digitally, printed it out, and then traced it onto the Borden & Riley No. 234 Paris paper for pens. This paper has a smooth, bleed-proof surface that's ideal to use with all pens and markers. Okay, it's time to start inking, but a pen this small for a drawing this size is a bit overwhelming, even for the person who's making a video on how to do it. So to break the ice, I outlined the cat's nose and placed a few dots of color at the base of each ear. Then I realized I had to get those eyes filled in before I could go any further. The cat's eyes will be green with a hint of yellow, so I put down a base layer of yellow lines radiating out from around each pupil. Then I added this pretty mint green color called eucalyptus as a layer over the yellow. I'm using a ragged mark technique here, which simply means that I'm gently flicking up my pen at the end of each stroke so the ink appears to just fade away. The third color I'm using on the eyes is pistachio, and I'm applying it in the same way. Then I go back and forth between the 2 greens until I get the coloring just how I want it. Let's do something a little different when filling in the decorative shape between the eyes. I'm using the eucalyptus color and making tiny little circles to fill in the entire space. To add a little more interest to this shape, I'm going over some of the spots with more layers of eucalyptus to darken them up. To color in the nose, I'm using the same blush color that I outlined it with, and I'm making more ragged marks that all start out from the bottom point of the nose. The point at which all the lines converge will automatically appear darker because it's where the ink is most concentrated. Those eyes are still freaking me out a little bit, so let's just ink in the pupil with dark gray from the pastel color set. You'll notice that I'm not just filling in those pupils with solid color. At the very center, I'm leaving the tiniest bit of white between some lines. I'm also overlapping lines at the top and bottom points of the pupils to enhance the appearance of depth in them. Let's put a little rust red at the base of the nose. Then use strawberry to fill in these bigger shapes with hatch lines. I wanted these 3 fully bloomed flower shapes to be consistent, so I lined all the petals with blush and used some ragged marks to partially fill in the petals. And I did a little playing around with layering to get them darker around the centers of the flower. Now let's address those leaf shapes at the top by lining them with mud green and filling them with pistachio. I'm a huge fan of showing the shadow that the upper lid creates on the eyeball, so I use the dark gray to dot in the shadow a little bit. This technique is called stippling, and it's a great way to add color without overpowering the whole area with it. To keep things consistent, I'm filling in these other organic shapes on the face with more tiny circles of eucalyptus. Those shapes kind of remind me of antlers. Admittedly, there was a long while here where I saw more of a deer head than a cat head while I was coloring it in. Now back to the eyes, because it's just impossible for me to leave them alone. Let's make them even more dramatic by thickening up that upper lid with hatch lines of mud green. I'm filling in crescent shapes above the eye with lines that are radiating out from one point. I chose that point to be at the bottom of the nose, but in retrospect, I wish I would have chosen the center of each eye. I think it would have created a more dramatic effect. That aside, I want to point out that I'm using a ruler here. I do this for my own ease to make sure all my lines are headed in the right direction. Fortunately, these pens and this paper work really well with tools like this. The tips of the pens are encased in metal, so not only are they durable, but they're suitable for getting the tip right up to the edge of a ruler or stencil. They glide along the edge so smoothly, and the paper helps the ink dry super quickly so you don't get any smearing. After the strawberry color, I added a little yellow to the crescent shapes, making sure the lines were all going in the same direction. Total transparency here. I did have a general plan of what I wanted to achieve with this composition, but I didn't know specifically what I was going to do for each shape within it. I'm tackling them as I go. These shapes directly above the head could have easily been something like feathers, but at this point, I thought it was best to carry out the consistency with green leaves. Not every shape needs a dynamic treatment, so I just fill in these circles with lines of blush color. I'm using the ruler again to keep my lines straight, and you can see a natural shading form at the bottom of each circle. This is a result of how I'm making my lines and the pen just lingering on the paper for a smidgen longer at the end of each stroke. Now it's time to fill in the whole face. I took my pencil and marked out little lines to remind myself the direction I wanted my ink marks to go. Inking in with Fineliners isn't hard, but it does take time. It's really easy to lose focus and lose consistency. So mapping out my plan with the pencil allows my brain to stay present to the task at hand. And that task is to fill in the face with tiny loops that go in the direction you would expect fur to grow in. I can really lean into the process and enjoy filling in the whole area. It's almost meditative. I want to mention that my goal of this whole video is to inspire you to use basic fineliner techniques in less obvious ways. Have you ever tried to fill in a drawing with water-based pens and been disappointed with how it turned out? And once you put that ink down, it's hard, if not impossible, to remove it. So I'm hoping you walk away from this video with more tools in your back pocket to add texture and variety to your fineliner artwork. And I want to give a shout out to artist Sasha Prude, whose artwork with these same Stabilo pens has inspired my own interest in fineliners. Contrast between lights and darks is one of the first things that catches the viewer's eye. I have a lot of midtones going on here, so I make sure to boost some of the darker details. The muted color set has two gorgeous violet colors. One is a gray violet and the other one is plum. The plum is slightly more vibrant, so I opted to use the gray violet in this piece to enhance the contrast. The cat face is looking a tad flat to me, so I added tiny loops of rust red to the inside of the ears and under the nose, as well as outlining the whole head with it. And by now you can see that I already outlined the background shapes, and it's time to fill those in. I did do some measuring here to create some lines that are equally distant apart. Then I penciled in lines to help guide me as I inked. Was this tedious? Yes. Do I usually like tedious tasks? No. But hear me out. I know that if I tried this freehand, my diagonal lines would have meandered in different directions. Consistency in the background is super important on a piece like this. It creates a cohesive look that helps the viewer's eye, except that it's a solid area of color, even if there's a pattern back there. And yes, there are plenty of lines that are less than perfect, but altogether it's perceived as a background that adds interest without competing with the cat. Throughout this video, I've shown you several different ways to fill in an area with fine line pens. Which one is your favorite? Did you see something that you want to try? Let me know in the comments below. I continued to fill in a few other areas and touch up details until I felt comfortable with calling this piece finished. I hope you've enjoyed this video. All the supplies I've used today can be found in a link in the description box below. And to get 15% off these select products, just use coupon code HOT15 at checkout. While you're here, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe for more videos, join us for free over on Mix, and follow ArtSnacks on social media.